Okay, guys, are we about ready? Yeah. We're going to be here all afternoon.
All right, real quick.
Okay. Glenn Lewis.
The thing that I remember most about Glenn Lewis is he had beautiful sisters. Gorgeous ladies that you could ever be around. Matter of fact, I talked to Betty some time ago and asked her to be our date for this event here, and she said she thought she could come, and then I think something happened.
You thought better.
Huh?
You thought better.
Better.
She rethought
I don't
it.
know that Glenn lived out on the corner coming into East Prairie, and Harry Lewis was his dad. And Glenn told me a story one time. He said that his dad never let him drive the car or the truck. And Claudia's brother and a couple of his friends had built a little house out behind Claudia's house that they used to gather around. I think Ricky Reed was one of them. And so they had gone to Harry's place when he converted it into an office, old furniture type of stuff, and they went in and bought a couch. And Harry wanted $25 for it, and the boys only had 10. So Harry let them buy the couch for $10 and then let them use his truck. And the boys didn't have a license to deliver the couch to the place. And Glenn's got so mad about that because Harry wouldn't let him drive and he had a license, and he let the other boys drive the truck. But Glenn was comic. There wasn't a person that ever met Glenn Lewis that ever forgot him. He had, I think it was rheumatic fever in first or second grade, was out for a long, I guess maybe four months or so from school. He was a very good athlete, and he was also in the Army, served in the MDs. Glenn told me one time, he said, you know, Denny, I wish that I had stayed in the Army and retired. He, I don't think he actually went to Vietnam. I don't think he was in Vietnam or whatever. But Glenn became terribly ill, and he had had a heart condition, and he wouldn't go to the VA. And Betty and I talked about him, and we talked about him with our class, some of our class members. And we got Glenn to take confidence in the VA. He got a doctor that he was very comfortable with, and he had some, I think he had surgery, and then his heart just gave out. And so there is a history in the family. I was talking to Betty the other day, and she said that her dads, a lot of her brothers and sisters and whatever, passed away in February. So February was a terrible month for the Lewis family. But we'll always remember Glenn. I mean, I can close my eyes and see him right now with that smile. He was very mischievous, and even though the teachers walked softly around him, they all loved him and adored him. So
He was funny even up to the day he died. I mean, we had so much fun at Clyda's.
Go ahead.
Okay, Dougie.
Remember when they had two mopeds, the only two mopeds in town?
Yeah, we did. Glenn came up with this moped, and I was so envious. And of course, my parents were relatively poor, and we didn't have any money. And I asked,
folks for you, did you?
my dad one time, I said, you know, that would really be fun to have one of those, and I never expected to get one. And how he managed to come up with the money, I don't know. But anyway, Glenn and I roamed all around town, and we just had
of all the rest of the boys who were still yet walking.
we had a wonderful time. I mean, myself, I remember getting stopped at the state patrol right at the edge of town, and the patrolman asked me for my driver's license, and I just looked at him and said, you don't need one to drive here.
Oh.
He said, well, yes, we do.
Oh.
And, anyway, I got a little slip to take home to show my parents, and tell them that I couldn't drive it until I was 16. I didn't show it to them.
turned 16, they showed it.
Yeah.
But anyway, we just had a wonderful time on them. And best part of it when you're 15 is when you can get a pretty girl to ride on the back. Wrap her arms around you. And I won't go any further than that, but it was great. But Glenn and I, we had a lot of things that we did. We came up to Cape one time when the kart races were going on. I don't know if anybody remembers that, but they had a real big go-kart track at the airport. And it only lasted 2 or 3 years. But we went up to watch the races every chance we got when they were happening. And I could tell you things, but they would really be embarrassing. Glenn knew how to make you do something that you didn't want to do. All I can say was the camping trip, Glenn was in pain, and I was the only person there that could help him.
Oh.
It was over with, and we laughed about this for years.
We won't ask for details.
Nothing like that.
We won't ask for details.
Something like,
We're in church here.
you can remember the joke about the snake riding. I'm going to use your imagination.
Yeah. Okay. Yes, one more.
I appreciate being invited here. It's always nice to see old friends. And I didn't graduate from this class, but I do have a lot of fond memories. And I've been affiliated with probably everybody in this room. Thanks to Denny, I got my first dog named Buttons.
Buttons.
But if all of these people that you guys are paying tribute to could hear it,
They do.
it was great.
They'd be proud, wouldn't they?
And I hope someone can say something nice like that for me someday.
Me too. Me too. Come tonight, Terry. Come over there tonight if you're out and about. Okay.
Thank you
Danny,
all.
I got one short little
Go ahead.
story I got to share about.
Okay. All right.
All right, okay, Bill, we got
I'm
Bill
gonna
first.
sit down.
The last time we got together at a reunion, was in Charleston, this one already.
Everybody wants to talk about Glenn.
Yeah.
And Glenn and I were sitting at the bar, and we'd had a few of those cold treats, like Bobby Carter invented. And Janet McLean happened to walk by, and Janet was dutied up that night, I mean, to a fare thee well.
Purdy.
She was looking good. Glenn did a double take, and he looked at Janet and said, Janet? And Janet turned and looked, she said, Glenn said, Janet, you got a whole bunch more titties than I ever remember you had. And you'd have thought Janet would have got rid. She said, oh, Glenn.
All right, Bobby,
All right.
you beat that?
Okay, Bobby, you got 2 minutes.
Buddy Bobby, 6-year-old, at the wheel, went to school. Glenn, at that class reunion out there at the Eagles Club, remember when he asked who had the most grandkids? And I believe I had 10 at that time, and Patricia Hatton come forward, and I had a little more than her, and Glenn said, oh my goodness, Bobby, if you and Pat had got together, you'd have filled the whole house.
Okay, Danny,
All right.
your turn.
Who's next?
Let's see. James Steinbeck.
Brother, oh, okay, he done that.
All right, I started going to Martin School in the 4th grade, and that's when I first met James Steinbeck. And James, again, he sat back on the right, close to the window. He seemed to be a little taller boy than the rest of us. To me, I thought he was rather quiet. I talked to Mike. James was his brother-in-law for a while. And Mike says, oh, that's not the James I know. And Mike filled me in with some stories about him. Their family moved to Kentucky in, I think, when James was in the 9th grade. And James graduated from high school, and he got married. And he went into the Tom's Nuts distribution business. And he moved to Helena, Arkansas, and had a very good business. And then somebody came along with offering a special deal for a lifetime that would make you a lot of money. Quick scheme type of thing.
It's quick, his brother.
Yeah, his brother. And I think James had like 5 vehicles, and his business was quite successful. And then he got into this business, and he lost everything he had. And then him and 2 other guys were going into Mississippi to look for a job. And there was a car accident with a big commercial motor vehicle, and all 3 of the people in James's car was killed.
Oh,
And,
so sorry.
Do you have anything special about James besides what you told me there?
Well, y'all may remember, he used to live right down there.
Yeah, I do remember.
Grocery.
I remember that.
When he was a kid, he used to raise pigeons, rabbits, and all that stuff, and after he was in Helena, he continued to do all that. He had all kinds of exotic rabbits, homing pigeons, all kinds of pigeons. He'd take them to fairs, you know. He had a lot of what he called champions. I don't know if they were like pigeons.
Percy Parker. Who's got Percy Parker?
I do.
Okay.
Percy was another one of the black kids, you know, that came to school with us. And, you know, we really didn't know them outside of the school building at all. But he was a very quiet, gentle person. I don't know what he was like in the bathroom.
Yes, Bobby, you know.
That's a good thing.
Yeah.
You're just as well off not hearing it.
Yeah. But, you know, we've invited the black kids year after year after year to the class reunions, and they just have not ever come. But with only going to school with them for 1 year, I think we just didn't ever get to know them.
Yeah,
You know,
I think so
really
too.
well.
I think so too.
One of the agencies needed to be mentioned to describe our black brethren that lived there, they were very brave.
I can't hear you.
They were very brave.
Yes,
Oh, yes,
absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. What was it, Percy's sister? She only went to high school and went to college. She only had.
Was it Oneather? No.
Yeah, that was Robinson.
Oneather was Robinson.
Okay.
Yeah.
But Percy had a sister. Didn't Percy Parker have a sister?
I thought.
What was her name? I can't remember.
Yeah, I remember that, but that's about.
David Dick.
Oh, David. David. Well, I never knew David until, when did the Dorena people start coming to school with us? They had their own school down there.
Yeah.
What?
Was
junior
about
high,
9th.
something like that. I remember Dick.
Our school bus went all the way.
She came early. Yeah, she started.
Some of them went to Dalton.
Ninth grade.
Dorena people.
Anniston.
No, they had their own school.
What Dorena school?
Anniston?
Anniston.
That was his
Anniston.
senior year.
That was
Yeah.
the year they started coming,
Yeah.
a lot of them started coming
Yeah.
to East Prairie.
Well, they made them go to Anniston our senior year. David started there at East Prairie about the 9th grade.
9th grade, I think it was.
Yeah.
About
Here, it seems like everybody remembered one thing like I remembered, and that was his smile. He seemed
Yeah.
to have a special smile.
He really did.
And you know, after I thought about that, what more could you ask to be remembered by than a smile? I mean, it's not, it's sorry that, he met his death the way
Yeah.
he did, but that's another point. But anyway, to be remembered with a smile, I think is to say something to him.
Very-
And that's my memory.
That's
as well as
wonderful.
some of the other classmates, is the smile.
Yeah, that's wonderful. Thank you. John Bankston. John Bankston?
I went to school with Johnny from the first grade through, and most of you did too. Now, Johnny lived over on Folk Street.
You already told that story.
He lived on it too.
There were a whole bunch of folks living up.
On Folk Street.
That's why they call it Folk Street.
I called my name, because they love me.
Hey, Russ.
Johnny said it was safe.
Was somebody recording this, by the way?
I am.
Tell about Lonnie.
You know what, my battery's about gone, but we can hit record on that and record the rest of
Don't
it.
remember his name.
I will if you'll hold this for me.
Grade school. But anyway, Johnny always smoked, and some of the teachers would get on to him because his teeth were all stained up. And he said, well, Mom and Daddy don't care, now what do y'all care for? Johnny was soft-spoken, you could have a little bit, and Johnny would just laugh. Now, he'd act up and laugh at anything you said. And he was likable. He went to the ice capade with us when we all rode that Greyhound and went up our small fellers. Remember? Yeah, it was fun. I'd never seen nobody go fast in my life. Well, Johnny went to me and said, I can't believe it. It's going on. But he was a nice person and easy to get along with. And never made a fuss, but Kenny Brown was one of his heroes. And Joe Corbin.
Because they lived on Folk Street.
Johnny liked to laugh and have a good time.
All right.
And he was a quiet person unless you get him laughing. And then what he did, he just back up and keep laughing. I always liked him, and I like people like to cut up and laugh and tease.
Hoorah for Johnny.
Hoorah for
Yay
Johnny.
for
All
Johnny.
right, thanks.
Good job.
He did finish school.
Kenny Boyd is supposed to be Sandy, she's not here. Oh, here.
Gary.
Well, Kenny Boyd moved in town, and I got acquainted with Kenny. We run around together. I don't know many funny stories about him, but he was a good ball player, and he was a good friend. And I don't know about y'all, but I sure hated to see him go when he went.
Good basketball player.
Yeah, he was a good ball player. Good ball player. Baseball, basketball, whatever he decided to play.
They were from New Mandan, I believe.
Yeah. He was,
Yeah.
Kenny was a good guy.
Amen. Good genes.
Had two good looking.
I have a, if you don't mind, I have a little story about Kenny. Kenny, his dad had a 55 Chevrolet, and my dad had a 55 Chevrolet, and we just got our license. And we drove out the road past the Fugate's house where you make the little bend in the road, and we decided to drag our cars. And the only thing was, I hadn't been out on that road during the daytime that I remember, and it kind of curved back to the right in a very short thing, and so Kenny and I almost turned over the cars before we got stopped. And my car had a little dent on the bottom of it, and I was afraid my dad would find out about it and ask me what happened. But Kenny and I, we never dragged our car. They weren't fast enough to drag anyway. But, anyway, we were up to some mischief.
That road holds a lot of memories, didn't it?
I got one more story
Yeah,
about
but
Kenny.
the kind of memories you have.
We got us some cherry bombs one night. We were riding around and we went out where he's talking about, where Cantrells live out there,
Yeah.
teacher, and we let out a few cherry bombs. We sped on down the road, got down to the curve, there he was. He was on our wake for us. We got caught.
Alex.
How did he get there before y'all did?
I have no idea, but he was there.
Shortcut, didn't he?
The light.
David Barber.
Joe, the light went out on this.
What?
The light dimmed.
But the one thing I remember the most is the fact that David wanted to know everything about everything. He had an insatiable desire to learn things. And we spent one summer, 2 or 3 nights a week looking at the stars.
On top of
that's
his
just-
No, he's on video.
Right.
I was there.
That's exactly right. Learning all the constellations and all the stars. And we spent one summer, he wanted insects. He got into that real
See,
big.
there's the video.
That's the Boy Scout merit badge.
Yeah, and when we turned in our insects the next fall, in the science class, we both had 10 cigar boxes full of insects. And the expression on Alex's face was unbelievable when he saw us walk in with all those. I mean, we had more insects than everybody else in the rest of the class. But that was just the way it was. He had to learn everything. And when he went into something, he went into it big. And then he reminded me of a tower that he built in his backyard. And he had a rope, and you could swing from the tower, and you could land on top of the house. His mother just hated that.
Rube Goldberg.
We would swing over and land on the house, and she'd come outside and yell at us. And then we'd swing back to the tower. I mean, it was a lot of fun. And the reason he did it was to build up his strength. He was tired of being bullied in school. And I do remember that after that summer was over and we returned to school, one of the bullies, who shall be nameless, came up and started pushing David, and David knocked him to the ground and told him if he ever touched him again, he was really in big trouble. And that was the end of David being bullied. I mean, it never happened again.
Who was it?
Well, let's don't get into that.
It was Mr. Melton, okay?
But do you remember the little denim pack that he had on his belt?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he sewed it himself. It was like a belly pack before there was such a thing. And he had it on his belt, and it had a sewing kit in it, and a little pair of scissors, and a knife, and a whistle, and I mean, you know, whatever the guy needs to go to school.
Be arrested now for the knife.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. But, you know, he didn't really care what people thought about it. You know, that's what he wanted to do. And if you didn't like it, well, that's your problem, not his.
Yeah. Very good.
David also.
Denny
Go ahead,
mentioned
track
to me
thing.
something I'd forgotten, that he was very talented in track, and he held the
Yes.
school record in the mile.
Yes.
You know, which that's quite an achievement.
I realized that there was a lot of discontent about Lonnie among the seniors, and we were juniors, and some days during practice, we'd all huddle up and leave Lonnie out. Gary probably remembers this. We would have what they call Kill Lonnie Day. And we would go back to the huddle and call a play. And Lonnie at the time he wasn't on the offensive side, he was on the defensive side, and he lined up right in front of the center. And
We know
and
who
he
the
was right
center
where
was.
we could get to him, you know. And anyhow, we'd call a play. Instead of the play, quarterback just say, all right, this is Kill Lonnie. And we'd all forget our assignments, and we'd just all go up there and just pile on. I'm serious.
That's funny.
And you couldn't hurt this guy. I mean, he'd get up, and he would always be the dirtiest player out. I'm talking about as far as filth. He'd be muddy and dirty and all skin up and all, but you couldn't hurt the guy. And then when, you know, he gets to the point he broke his neck, I think, God. And I heard about it because he and I were out together that night. I thought, no, there's no way Lonnie dove off the damn diving board and broke his neck. It isn't possible. But of course, he was a miracle, I guess, because he survived that. And then after that, he went on and succeeded in life. You know, it was amazing.
Very good.
I mean, they could write a book about him.
They could.
Yeah, I agree.
Really. Buddy Bonta?
You're through.
And I got Buddy.
You're through.
I know,
She
Gary.
said Buddy Bonner.
Buddy Bonnie was, I guess I got Buddy, don't I?
Yeah.
Buddy Bonnie there was a baby boy of a large family, of the Bonte family, on Folk Street. Now, everybody knows what Folk Street was. It was a rough street. You drove down there at night on a bicycle, they would actually throw brickbats, rocks, and I'd holler my name because the Henderson boys lived there, Lonnie Agason lived there, Buddy Bonnie's whole family, and him the baby, and he sucked on his mama's
Uh-oh, shush, no.
Till he went to school. I mean, like Bo Nile, she didn't wean him, but he'd jump up there and follow him. He had big ears. Bo did too, and I told him, I believe that's why y'all didn't get off that bottle. But anyway, Buddy, at later age, had a new Corvette, a Camaro. And he had the motor souped up, but Buddy liked them soda machines in Kentucky and Arkansas and out of town. And he kept a big chains safe in the back of his truck, or car. But anyway, then he coon hunted, and I'd seen him down there at the Eagles, and he was out coon hunting, the dogs got excited, he put a gun up, and I guess he had it cocked.
Shot his dog?
And Buddy got shot.
Oh, Buddy got shot.
The soft part of his stomach.
Ooh.
And that .22 bullet got in his heart.
Ooh.
And he died in the woods.
My goodness, I never did know that.
Buddy Bobby. Yeah.
Thank you, Bobby. That was nice.
Where did that happen? Where?
Where did it happen? How long ago?
Where did it happen?
I was up on the hills because he didn't live here at home. But I'd seen him at the Eagles Club because he remarried. And
Thank you, Bobby.
that was about the end of Brother Buddy Bonnie.
Thank you, Bobby. That was real sweet. Kenny Brown. Somebody I gave Kenny Brown to.
Who was it? Big Brown?
Yeah.
Oh, you got him. Okay.
Who's got it?
Gary.
Gary.
No, Gary's got Kenny.
I got Kenny Cat and Kenny Boyd.
Larry, you got Kenny?
Larry, you got Kenny Brown. Come on, Larry.
I got a Kenny B, but it's marked.
No, it's marked out.
Right there. Isn't that Kenny Brown right there?
I got Kenny Brown.
All right.
Oh, wake up over there.
No, we've got Kenny Boyd and Kenny Brown. So, okay, Larry.
I don't know much about
I
Kenny,
know.
except every time we had a problem in the classroom, Kenny was usually right in the middle of it. But he was a good fella.
He was.
Good, yeah.
He was a good guy.
I want to say something about Kenny Brown.
Okay, Danny.
Kenny Brown used to stay with Gary's grandparents, him and his brother. His dad was a truck driver, and I think he drove for Carl Tanksley, or one of the Tanksley brothers. And Gary has forgotten this. He said, no, I don't remember that. But then something happened to, I think it might have been an illness or something, and the Brown boys moved in with my grandparents, and they took care of them for a while. One morning, my grandmother jumped on to me about my name being carved into her radio on the side. And I said, Grandmother, that's not my writing, okay? And it finally, Kenny Brown fessed up to
Oh my gosh.
defaming her.
Your grandma's
tired. But anyway, the guys were talking about later on, I think Gary said that he had gotten a letter from Kenny after Vietnam, and it said that Kenny had was well written and said that he had made a lot of changes in his life. And,
Good.
So
Good to know. Jerry Preston. That's you, Jimmy.
It's me. Whenever I was elected to talk about Jerry, I tried to remember some stuff about him, and the stuff that I remember.
Then she got a business at Sykeston, so the joke was on me then. I went over there and she said, I'm gonna give you a discount.
Oh.
This merchandise. Oh, good. She figured that discount and then she added it back on. I ended up paying more than the price. I never said a word to her. My fault she didn't learn business math. But she's going on and on about things we did together and running around together. And that was when I met my husband, was through going to St. Louis with Brenda one weekend. So we had good times together.
all right.
Thank you, hon.
I want to know why you would help me in bookkeeping. I said right by you.
Don't copy. No.
You never got me. I promise.
Joe Corbin.
I heard that Miss Wilson liked you so much that she wanted you to repeat it.
Yeah. The thing I heard, Joe Corbin was a kind of a short, stocky fella, and Joe was all the time on the edge, the periphery of trouble. and not real serious trouble, but mischief kind of trouble. And his right-hand man was Peg Brown. And he and Peg kind of played off of each other. And Mr. Schultz from Cape Girardeau came down, and he was substitute teaching for us, year, semester, or whatever, and I think it was the English class.
Yes, it was.
And that class was so rowdy and so ornery that Mr. Melton had to come in and take a seat in the back of the room. And this all happened before most of us showed up. And as the crowd kind of drifted in, the rowdiness got louder and louder and louder, and the spitballs were flying, and Joe and me were in the middle of the whole thing, and I was off on one side, and Gary was sitting over there beside me, and I happened to look over my shoulder, and I see Mr. Melton sitting back. Now, he is being real quiet, but he's got a pencil and a little notepad. And I about had a stroke, and I got Gary's attention, and I said, and about this time, Mr. Melton stood up, and he walked up to the front of the room, got right in front of Mr. Schultz's desk, and he said, I want to see you, and you, and you, and you, and you, and you, and how I missed being part of that.
Your dad was on the school board.
But Joe